Hey, Zach, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Can I ring the bell for you?
Yeah, ring it. A couple times. This is my only opportunity.
I mean, let's not get carried away, Zach.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Do you want to ring the bell?
I don't have a bell.
Okay. All right. Do
No,
you
no,
want to?
I'm not a big enough patron for that,
Okay,
unfortunately.
Zach, what do we say to start the podcast?
You know what's funny? Can I talk about that scene for a second?
Sure.
That was a redo actually. Because
Okay.
Jeff was like, Zach, I know you've been dying to say it. And I was like, say what? He's like,
Mhm.
the words. The words. I was like,
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting him to like put me on the spot like that. So then I said them, and luckily they got rid of that part.
Okay, well, Zach, I know you said that you made history doing being the first person to get voted out unanimously last night. Put that on the Survivor Wiki. Something else for you to put on your Survivor Wiki page.
What was this?
That you are the very first person that I've ever done an exit interview with here on video on Zoom in
Oh,
12
really?
years.
Wow. First
Yeah.
ever video. Oh my God. I didn't even do my hair or
So
anything.
you've made history again, Zach. I
Uh-huh.
just want to say, I know how much it meant to you to get to be on the show. I'm sure you must be very disappointed. How have you been processing this whole experience?
I've really been so happy with it overall. I mean, it's like, the game itself didn't go how I wanted it to. I really feel like I had, in terms of my survivor experience, I mean, countless good days and then like a single bad day that I got to replay in my mind for quite a bit after. But like in terms of the show and after the show, and now it's been like 10 months since then, I've really been able to like come to terms with everything and accept it. And I'm just so thankful for the entire opportunity.
Talk about the bad day. What exactly happened that really sent your game into a spiral?
Um, I'm trying to think of like another word for Tory, but I can't really put it together. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Tory was a big one.
Can you explain what happened? Because on the show, it seemed like that you didn't seem to be in a lot of trouble. And then the show sort of made it like, oh, well, he didn't do great at the puzzle, but it seemed like that you were way behind in the puzzle anyway.
It was an excuse, obviously. And like that's what Survivor is. Like obviously I didn't actually lose the challenge for my tribe with that puzzle. But I knew that was going to be the narrative because it's a very easy thing for people to point to. Tori then immediately goes off with Drea, leaving the four of us. So we have to kind of talk about like, okay, well, who are we targeting now? And even though I did really like Tori and I did really want to work to her with her up to that point, I was kind of like, all right, well, if it's going to be Drea or Tori and there's more movement towards Tori, I guess it has to be Tori there.
Yeah. So you feel like that she just threw you under the bus sort of as a self preservation because people were talking about her?
Well, I did, as you can see, she never actually says my name in that moment to Drea. So I think there was a part of her that was protecting me. That being said, her immediately pulling Drea away, who I knew she'd been targeting, who I knew she had beef with, who I knew like could have been the person that me, Tori, Swathi, and maybe whoever targeted, because we could have been targeting Drea at that first vote. I would have been very happy with that. So when Tori instantly pulls her away, instantly I'm like, oh wait, Tori is not with me.
When you watched the episode back on Wednesday night, were you surprised to see that Swathi also threw you under the bus very quickly, where it seemed like that based on the episode, it seemed like, oh, the young people really have a bond?
Um, yes, I am actually very surprised to see Swathi, and Swathi's amazing. I love
No
Swathi.
doubt.
Yes, but I definitely was surprised at the speed at which she was willing to be like, we don't need Zach. Zach's fine. We don't. That's good. So I can't wait to give her shit for that.
So you also talked about Roxroy and the way that he was putting together the shelter. You felt like that. Has this guy even seen Survivor before? Because that he was coming on so strong. Basically, we got the montage. We didn't get to see what you saw. Can you tell us a little bit more about what it was like in the construction of the shelter?
So there was a moment we were working on the shelter. If you stopped working on the shelter, Zach would be, or not Zach, if you stopped working on the shelter, Roxroy would be like, Zach, come on, man. Come on, man. We got a shelter to build. Come on, we got to build this shelter, guys. Come on, seriously, we have to build this shelter. And there was one moment where Roxroy gets taken away for confessional. And all of a sudden, we're playing Survivor without Roxroy for maybe like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was 30 of the most fun moments of my entire life, where we literally were all like, let's go to the beach. We like jumped into the water, we were swimming around, and then we see Roxroy like coming back to camp, and we're like, oh, everyone back to the shelter, everyone back to the shelter.
Yeah.
So that was my experience with Roxroy.
It seemed like that you had a really nice bond with Romeo, who, based on what we saw in the episode, looked like that he was trying to save you. He was trying to get the votes to be swung onto Tori. Just how tight did you feel like you were with Romeo?
I felt like I was really tight with him for 2.5 days. And then I kind of realized that even though I was very tight with him, and even though I was kind of going to protect him over anyone, he was going to protect me over 2 people, because he was clearly tighter with Drea and Roxroy. So it wasn't necessarily a reciprocal alliance in the way that I had thought it was. He definitely was fighting to keep me, but it was not over Drea and it was not over Roxroy.
So going into that tribal council, obviously you must have felt like your back was against the wall. You played the shot in the dark. I mean, you must have been surprised to see where you played it at the first tribal council. It really only got played once in all of Survivor 41. What made you feel like that the shot in the dark was the right thing to do at that first tribal council that you went to?
I mean, it was just basic like strategy for me. I was thinking like, all right, we're in this situation right now. The votes aren't being split. This is going to be a unanimous vote, because people don't need to split the votes, because they know that like even if the shot in the dark got played and worked, or if an idol got played, that Tori would just be the one who went home. So it would be totally fine. So with the knowledge my vote wasn't going to matter there, I was always going to play the shot in the dark just to like slightly increase my odds.
And so hypothetically, had the shot in the dark worked, then do you think that Tori would have been the person to go home based on that? I guess it would have been a revote.
100% Tori.
Were people kind of hiding it from you that it was going to be you, or did they just basically tell you it was going to be you no matter what?
They were hiding it. They just weren't doing the best job at hiding it. You know, well, when Swathi literally can't look you in the eyes after like being friends, for you kind of get a sense of like where her vote's going. And if you know where her vote's going, you kind of know where the rest of the votes are going.
Looking back, Jeff asked you to start off the show, Zach, what does it take to win Survivor? And then you felt like that you didn't really have the right answer. Well, if you had a mulligan on that, if you had a do-over on that one, what would you have said differently?
What would I have said differently? Honestly, I loved my answer for that. I was very happy. I felt like it was very me. God, if I could do it over, I don't know. I just would have read the bio of the winner and just basically been like this exactly.
Yeah. So in the preseason, we heard you talk about how you had written down some stuff that Shannon Gus had been talking about with Harry on the podcast. What other kinds of prep did you do to come out to be on Survivor?
You know what I think was a poor piece of prep that I took from Rob as a podcast? Not blaming you guys, because I know that like this was me. This wasn't you guys.
But
from Taryn with his Big Brother stuff, he would talk about in Big Brother how it's good to kind of have someone that like, you know, have a clear target so that people know where your cards lie on the show. I don't think that applies to Survivor at all. And I didn't fully embrace that, but I didn't really have a relationship with Drea out there. And I felt like for my allies to kind of like have a better sense of where I stood would make me a better ally of being like, oh, okay, we know that Zach doesn't really connect with Drea. Like, we don't have to necessarily worry about Zach going behind our backs with her and like talking to everyone. I thought it would make me less of a target, or less of a what's the word? I thought it would make me less suspicious. But I think what it actually did was then make it really easy for Drea to want to get me out.
Okay. I will pass that feedback along to Taryn. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Zach, we saw on the episode where that there were 3 players who went off during the first challenge, and they were gone for a long time, seemingly. They came back covered in mud and also apparently bleeding profusely. Did you get to ask Drea any questions about what had gone on?
No, I honestly, I don't think they went far enough with it. If I was out there, I would have literally like covered my face. I would have done it. I would have dislocated my own shoulder. I would have been like, oh, wow, this is really the craziest challenge of all time.
Mm-hmm. In the immunity challenge that you participated in, just how grueling was it?
Oh, that was the worst experience of my life. That was genuinely, as someone who would never quit Survivor, would never even consider it, I'm pushing this freaking boat. And I'm thinking to myself, like, why did I think I could do this? Why? Why did they let me onto this show?
Mm-hmm.
I was really insane. And also, I think the important thing to note about it was meant for 6 people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And because Jackson got pulled, we had to do it like undermanned, and Ika's already undermanned. I mean, we have 2 undermans on our tribe.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was always, I think you play that exact challenge 100 times. I think Ika loses it 100 times.
Yeah. Is there anything about the 3 days? Was it 2 days or 3 days that you were there?
3.
3. Is there anything that you feel like that you wish you would have done very differently?
Can I, before the game?
Anything you want. This is your exit interview.
If I could do, yeah, if I could do anything differently, I watched Sequester season 3, and that changes a lot because obviously, as a super fan, I know Sequester. I'm very aware of it. My mom watched Sequester.
Mm-hmm.
She would have immediately recognized
Give it
Tori.
up for mom. Yeah.
If I had recognized Tori and been able to out her as like she was on another reality show, she knows she was like the sneaky one on that show. She's complete chaos. That I think would have fully turned the tides against her. So I can't believe that my flaw in this game was not watching enough reality TV.
Oh, so you didn't watch Sequester is what your mistake was.
I knew of Sequester. I'd always been meaning to watch it. I had a whole quarantine to watch it. Never got around to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you think that would have been able to turn the tide against Tori?
If I had been able to, at that tribal council or
mm-hmm.
before, out her as a Sequester player,
mm-hmm.
then meanwhile, Roxroy would be like, we all did the Sequester. But
mm-hmm.
it would have.
Yeah.
It would have helped.
So correct me if I'm wrong. You were the one that mentioned to Tori that people were talking about her looking for the idol, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then do you feel like that had you not said anything about it to her, that would have been easier to have the target stick on Tori?
It's possible. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's definitely, if we're looking back at like what my worst move was, it has to be that. There's no real, no, I mean, I can go through my justification for it, which I thought was very valid, which is Tori was someone I was really close with and someone I really wanted to work with. And Drea was someone that I had absolutely no relationship with. So when Drea is telling me, like, kind of throwing my close ally under the bus, I felt like, oh, let me let my close ally know about this. So 1, it doesn't get back to her that I was involved in these conversations. 2, strengthen my relationship with Tori, who I did plan on working deeply into the game with. And 3, to get more Pete onto Drea, who was someone that I wasn't going to be working with.
Mm-hmm.
So, I understand why I did it, but at the same time, it did give Tori the ammunition she needed to really, throw me under the semi.
How hot was that heat on Tori in terms of her going off and looking for the idol?
It was hot on Tori, but I would say it was also really hot on Drea. They didn't really show this, but Drea was, for a lot of the time out there, the other name that was being thrown out because it was Tori versus Drea. It was Tori versus Drea, which is why then when Tori's like, Drea, I need to speak to you, I'm like, oh no, because I was planning when I got back from the immunity challenge to work with Tori, work with Swathi, see if we can pull over Romeo or Roxroy and try to get Drea out there. And that instantly changed to the moment that we saw.
Who were the people that were saying Drea's name? Was it Tori?
It was Tori, it was me, it was Roxroy. Yeah, it was the 3 of us.
Oh, interesting. Okay. We didn't get to see when Drea returned from Shipwheel Island in the episode. Was there a lot of suspicion about what she told you guys when she returned?
I cannot believe that. Yeah, they did not air that, because Drea's lie for us was really something. She was like, oh, it was the worst experience of my life. She's crying. Just put this visual into your mind. And she was like, we arrived. It was me, Jenny, and Marianne, and we climbed all the way up this mountain, and we got there, and there was nothing. and we climbed all the way down the mountain, and we went back to camp. And I was just sitting there like, and they're gonna fill a commercial break with this? Like that's what New Era is we're getting like little nature trails. So and then she was like, but I now know there's something hidden on this island.
Mhm.
And I was like, stop. No way.
Yeah.
Somewhere here, there's something hidden.
And did that increase the target on her back when you're saying that Drea was somebody people were talking about?
It increased the target on her back, but at the same time, it made her a lot more untouchable because we're thinking to ourselves, as the young people, we're like, okay, this is a 3-3 split right now as we see it. Andrea has something.
Yeah.
And we don't know what that thing is. And it's probably an extra vote. So we all realized we were in a really bad spot because she went on that hike. And then unfortunately, the young people kind of fell apart because of it.
Zach, I know we're running out of time. You have a lot of interviews to do today. Is there anything else that you want to make sure the fans know about your experience, your time on the island?
Anything else that I want them to know about my experience? No, I mean, I had a great time. I'm sure I'll stick around to some capacity.
Yes.
So
well,
I'll certainly.
Yes. Well, I have loved watching your TikToks.
Oh, thank you.
You've been a very good sport. I know that this is not easy to be the first player that's voted out in a season. And I know you are handling this amazingly. And I love your enthusiasm for the game. It's infectious. And it's been so nice to get to talk to you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Best of luck, Zach. And keep in touch, okay?
Yes, Rob, you can put this in or whatever. But I want to go to New York.
Okay. All right. Well, let me see if you're allowed to. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Zach, you take care. Okay. All right.
I was kidding, Shauna.